All right. Welcome to the Life with Joey Calvo podcast. I am Joey Calvo. I've been calling this month of podcast Hotober because I would think this podcast would get busy in October. Today is the hottest exception I could ever make. Our guest today is, I don't know where to start. She just celebrated 20 years of being a model, cosplayer, everything and above. That means she's been doing it since the age of 1. Okay? Since the age of 1. And if you guys all believe me, you better not. So that was the little thing. I mean, you could not tell with our guests that she's been doing it for 20 years. She looks like she's 20 herself. Okay? So this is the biggest honor I could ever have. I have the truly beautiful, the truly amazing, one of the hottest adult entertainers I could ever meet in my life, Liz River. Liz, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me, Joey. Wow, what an introduction.
Well, like I said, I could not. Like I said, and folks, I'm watching what I'm saying at the same time because I there's just, I mean, you can't. It's hard. It's hard not to look at her without melting. Okay, I mean, she is that amazing. I mean, I could not believe. Usually, and I'm going to be honest as we get started. Before I have your tell how she got to where we're at now. I've reached out to so many people. I've reached out to Rachel Steele, Alex Cole, and others, and they would turn me down. Liz surprised me when she, and this is how she stated, I am so passionate to be on your podcast. My jaw wanted to drop and cry at the same time because I could not believe that this was happening. And I was like, as soon as I found out, I was like, wow. I just could not believe. I said, I'm actually going to have the hottest podcast ever. And we've talked about this before we got started of how hot it is right now. So I am doing everything possible to stay a gentleman, calm, cool, and collect. So Liz, I want you to explain and tell your story on how you got to where you're at right now. Who is Liz River? Where did Liz River come from? How did this amazing person? I can't stop stating that. How does this amazing person get to where she's at right now?
It's such a great question, and it's so hard to kind of encapsulate that in a couple sentences because it was a 20-year journey.
Yeah.
But I basically, I was in my early 20s. I was really trying to figure out what I was going to do with myself. I had been to college, but it just I wasn't really fitting in anywhere. And so I started on a website called One Model Place. I had a free profile. And the first paying gig was, something in this line of work. And I thought, I met the guys, and they were so cool and kind of like offbeat and sort of like weirdos. And I was like, these are my people. Because I know you can't tell, but by looking, you can't tell anything about somebody by looking, really. But I'm really a weirdo.
No, you're not. You know what?
They're my people.
Okay.
And it's really just been a journey of like trusting myself and like listening to my gut, and that's how I got here.
Before we go any further, we're going to take that weird word weirdo out of you because I do not see that. I do not. Believe me, I do not see that. Okay. I mean, if the only, and yes, I'm putting myself down for a momentarily, folks. But I would always say that I mean, before I even go any further in stating this, when I turned around, I was in a down mood the other day. And I literally said, "This is what I look like. If you didn't think you were comfortable enough to want to chat with me on a podcast, you had the chance to back out." And so I don't know if Liz saw that post, but if she did, like I said, she had the opportunity to back out. But she was just like you said, she was just so passionate of being on here, and especially what's going on soon that we're gonna get to later on. Um, I like I said, I could not feel any more honored and amazed, and like I said, trying to keep my cool at the same time because I mean, look at her. I mean, this is an amazing person to really want to get to know, and especially next weekend. Oops, did I slip?
Yeah,
Did I slip?
yeah.
Did I slip? All right. Well, we're gonna get to that in a moment. So before we get to that, and yes, she's got the most beautiful long hair. Oh my god, she had.
Thank
Oh
you.
my god.
I
Like,
can't decide which it can't decide which way it wants to go. I think it wants to go this way.
okay. Well, it don't matter to me. I, that's one thing about me. I am into long hair women. Oh my god, it just turns me on. So that
I
oops.
probably shouldn't be fussing with it while we're doing this.
Yeah, I know, but I apologize. Like I said, I'm trying to keep my cool at the same time and watching. Like I said, I apologize for that. It slips because, like I said, I'm still a gentleman to a point. Um, and so so um so for 20 years you've been a model,
Mm-hmm.
and you've also gotten into cosplay now. Um, and also in reference to the cosplay, there's something else that you did in reference to that. So we're gonna get to that right now. So what? So, and it's kind of one of the questions that brought up, but I'm gonna jump ahead a little bit on it. And actually, I'm gonna do it this way. So, of course, Liz is familiar with our podcast's number one fan, number one supporter, and real life superheroine, American Fox. Yes,
Yes, I love American Fox.
dog.
Look at
Yes,
her.
yes. So she made sure she had questions for you. So I had to jump ahead into the questions because it's going to go into what we're going to talk about right now.
Yeah.
So the question that she had is, and we're going to get to, what got you interested in cosplay?
Yes, and I really had to think so hard about this question because it's such a great question, and you think I would like, immediately know the answer, but I was really trying to think what is the first time. I mean, I've always been into costumes, honestly,
Mhm,
like even as a kid, I really liked
mhm,
costumes.
mhm,
Um, my a lot of people in my family sew, so when I was
mhm,
a kid, even when we didn't, sometimes we had money, sometimes we didn't.
mhm,
But I always, always, always had a Halloween costume, and for as long as I can remember, I was allowed to pick, and then someone in my family would make the costume for me,
mhm,
if or we would buy it. But actually, I don't think we did buy a lot of costumes when I was a kid.
mhm,
And so I've just always loved like She-Ra was one of the first
mhm,
um like shows I remember loving, and I just wanted to be her and I wanted that costume.
mhm,
I watched a lot of Wonder Woman reruns when I was a kid. I watched, a lot of
mhm.
Star Trek, and I've just always loved a good get up, a
Yeah,
good outfit.
yeah,
And so honestly from the beginning of this career, like
mhm,
I've always done costumes before I knew the word cosplay. Like I
right.
don't I feel like I've been doing it since before I mean, at least I live in the Midwest, so things get here slower, but I
Mhm,
think I've been doing it since before we were saying cosplay in the
mhm.
Midwest.
Yeah. All right. All right. So the next question. Now, one statement I'm going to say is I kind of sent Liz a story idea offline before this, and she got back to me. She's like, "Well, Joey, I don't do this," And then when I showed her her post, she's like, "Oh!" And then she just explained why, um, in reference to it. Um, it was an evil Wonder Woman, and I was like, "Oh!" I was like, I gotta support her. I had that's that's the story I sent her was kind of like a fantasy to me. Only because I'm into Wonder Woman. I love Wonder Woman left and right. I'm into the Linda Carter series. Um, and believe it or not, a little secret, so is American Fox. She is in.
Oh, I can't
Yeah,
tell.
yeah,
No.
yeah. No,
Yeah, I super as much as I love
actually,
getting ideas from people, that's so generous because every idea is is has potential to be lucrative.
mhm,
Really the way it works is, so the evil Wonder Woman costume that you saw me in, I did actually make that for someone else's company. I made that for if you go on Twitter, they're under Super Heroine Fun.
mhm,
But the website is leagueofamazingwomen.com. And so
mhm,
I made that for them. They purchased that from me. It was a custom order. It just
mhm.
happened to fit me and I took photos in it before I delivered it.
Yeah.
So once you said that, once you showed me, I was like, oh, okay. And I believe that's noted in the post, but for anybody else who wants to send me ideas or anything like that, I do appreciate it. But really the way it works is, if you would like to see a video made, that's considered like a custom video. And while I do make those, there is a fee for that. And then
Mhm,
you get to be the first person to see it. You get to be alone with that video for 4 weeks. No one else gets their eyes on it. And
mhm,
if you want to see me in a specific costume, you can also pay a premium fee for that as well. And I can
mhm.
either purchase the costume or I can make it myself.
Right. Right. And well, like I said, when I said that to her, I explained, I was like, I can't afford to do it. But I said, I figured I would give you the idea because I could just picture her doing it. I just could. I mean, like I said, the beautiful long hair and all that. And the other thing about American Fox is, as you can see, I brought out the full picture of her. She actually does look like Wonder Woman in a way.
She really does. She's got such a Wonder Woman vibe.
Yeah,
I wish I knew more about American Fox actually. Where is she from? Is she American?
she
Oh,
is
American
American.
Fox,
She,
obviously. Yeah.
she is considered. She is considered at Amazon. Matter of fact, I will let her know that you want to
Yeah,
reach
I'm
out to
gonna reach out to her on Instagram after this actually, because we follow each other now on Instagram, and she and I obviously, I think we could do well together. I want to know more about her. I'm so interested in her.
her. Okay, and I will definitely let her know as well because we chat practically every day. So I will tell you, she will be honored to work with you and do a. I let's just say it this way. And I'm not saying this because I'm a guy, but one thing I would do is I would video it if you ever decided to collaborate.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I, I mean, there's more to American Fox that you would learn, and believe me, I mean, her hearing this because she gets a copy of this as well as you will. So when she hears this, I think she is going to be blown away. Like I said, she was amazed that just as much as I was to have you on this podcast. And so, um, something like this would be awesome. And I mean, I will let you in on the secret after the podcast in reference to her. Matter of fact, um, if you go on her profile, I don't even have to really send it to you. If you go on her profile, she'll tell you how to reach her
On
on
Instagram?
Instagram
Yeah, I'll check it
and
out.
on Twitter too. So,
Okay. I'm
all
not
right,
sure. I have to make sure that I follow her on
yeah, she fo- she yeah
Twitter.
she yeah she follows you on Twitter now. So I mean, and when she followed me, when Liz followed me, I was like, oh my god, I could not believe this.
I'm pretty good about following people back. I'm not too stingy about that kind of thing. If somebody follows me and they have something nice, if they say something nice to me, I'll usually follow them.
Yeah.
Like, it's just not that serious, you know.
Well, I'm going to say, and in appreciation, not only is Liz, well, Liz to me right now is a celebrity. Okay. Liz is a true celebrity to me because this is the highest spectrum I could ever go to. But you are not the only one that now follows me. And I'm going to blow your mind of who else I talk to in reference to celebrities. Remember Carol Alt, the supermodel?
Oh, really?
Yep. We
That's
chat.
amazing.
We chat. And she is within distance. If and I've been I we chat like every once in a while. I am also friends with a matter of fact, I actually know a news reporter that
That's
when we
cool.
get to that promotion in a few minutes, I might tell her to come see you in person. Um, and maybe interview you because she, like I said, she is a news reporter for News 12 New Jersey. Her name is Kimberly Bukovitz. She's been on the podcast. She is a friend of mine. Um, so I might go to her and say, listen, this is happening. You might want to go and interview this person and let her know that I sent you, you know, in case I can't make it in person because I work at Amazon. Okay. And I kind of picked up shifts left and right because I've been out because of my knee. So I'm just getting back to
Oh
work now.
no.
Yeah, I got a meniscus tear in my right knee that doesn't want to heal. And I've been, and excuse the language, bitching about it because it's not healing. And all the doctors like, well, all we can do is give you naproxen and tell you to go for physical therapy. None of them want to do an MRI, so I have to fight with them to get an MRI done because I really want to know how much damage is done. And if I have to have surgery, I'd rather know now than later on. But I'm sorry to jump off the subject of reference. Now we got to get back to Liz. We have to get back to Liz because I mean, it is hot in here. It is hot in Philadelphia. It is 70, but it feels like 100. And especially right now, it feels like 120. Because, I mean, we have the greatest person, we have the most amazing person right now. So, the second question from American Fox in reference to cosplay is this. It's supposed to be who is your favorite cosplay character? Who are your favorite cosplay characters?
So this question was interesting because I wasn't sure how to interpret this. Like, who are my favorite characters to cosplay, or who are my favorite people in the cosplay game right now?
Who is your favorite? Who when you're in cosplay, who do you like to do the most of? Kind of.
My super duper favorite is Zatanna, which is kind of an obscure character.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like for a lot of people, it's like if you know, you know, if you don't, you don't. And so, um, her name is Zatanna. She's a DC comic book character.
Mm-hmm.
She's a magician. And if you cover her mouth, she can't do the spells, so she loses her power.
I
So
never
she's
knew
a
that. I
yes, so she's a
mean,
really great damsel,
mm-hmm.
right? Because if you do anything
Yeah.
with her, you know, if you cover her mouth, then she's basically powerless. I also just really love her outfit because she doesn't really wear pants. Anything that's a leotard
Yeah.
with pantyhose is already like a great start for me.
Okay.
I'm really trying to I'm trying to work up the courage to just start wearing like leotards and pantyhose with boots as an outfit in regular day life. I think Beyonce does it, Taylor
Yeah,
Swift does it. I think if
yeah.
we just start doing it casually, I think we could just let it fly.
Well,
People would just be
well,
like, whatever.
I will say this: if now, and like I said, I'm being careful how I state this because of certain boundaries and stuff. But if you walked on the streets like that, I think every guy on the street will not stop looking at you. Okay. Um, I admit it, I mean, I would not stop either. Um, but I
You
am
could wear a
divorced.
leotard too if you want, Joey. It's not just exclusive to women.
Oh, please, I, I could not do that. I
Yeah,
could
you
not be.
could. Yeah,
I
you
could.
could.
I could not. No, not for
You
my
put you in
side.
like a wrestler's thing and take you on a run.
Oh,
You'd be
oh,
so
oh! Like,
mean.
I wear sweatpants when I go out. I'm a sweatpants and sneakers person. Um, because I was also diagnosed with diabetes, so I can't wear like. I mean, it's not
Oh,
that I can't wear, but
mhm,
because of the swelling in my feet, I kind of can't wear socks right now. It's bad
mhm.
enough. As scary as that sounds, but again, we got to jump off of that. We got to jump off of me. This is Liz. This is about Liz, not about me. Um, and like I said, American Fox will be truly happy for what she hears when she hears this podcast. So the other thing, and we touched up on before, is she is also an adult entertainer, and
Yeah.
so she did touch up on about custom videos. So now we're going to come to the point before we get to the hype news, I call it. And in my case, the real heat of the day, because I know after I hear this, you all hear this, you will all be like either getting airplane tickets or driving out to see her. Um, I mean, because I personally, I could go if I could afford to. Um, but being, like I said, I work at Amazon and I've been out for a little bit, I'm kind of starting to catch up. So third question from American Fox is this: will you expand your acting career to other areas?
So this is such a good question. I honestly am willing to act in almost every area. I don't really do, like triple X. That's probably not really that much considered acting in the phrasing of this question anyway. But I do feel like I have my sort of hats on in a bunch of different
Mm-hmm.
categories of acting. I do actually appear in some mainstream movies. You can see me as Anne Hathaway's sister in a movie that's on Netflix right now. It's called Dark Waters, and it is one of the most liked movies on Netflix. And I
Okay.
play her sister. You
Okay.
can see me in a few scenes in that.
Okay.
And I've been in some others before that, but this is like the most popular mainstream movie that I've been in. And I have the most time in that one as well.
Okay. So
Uh,
how is it? Did you actually get to physically work with Anne Hathaway?
yes, yes.
So what was it like working with her?
Anne Hathaway is actually a super sweet person.
Mm-hmm.
You never know going into these mainstream movies, how how it's going to go or how people are going to behave. I mean, I would certainly understand if somebody didn't want to talk to the featured extras, the featured background actors and stuff like that, because there's in some movies, there are so many of us that they write rules that say like you can have, if the stars start a conversation with you, you can answer them, but you can't start conversations with them. Like when I worked on um Point Blank with Anthony Mackie, you can't go up to him and say, "Hey, what's up? I really loved you in this other
Yeah.
movie," because we were shooting in a train station and there's probably 250 of us. So if 250 of us are trying to strike up conversations with them,
Mm,
there's not going to be, it's going to suck up all the time. So,
wow.
but with Anne Hathaway, I was handpicked by the
Mm.
director, Todd Hayes, because he thought I looked most like everyone. I looked the most like Anne Hathaway.
I
And so
agree.
when they brought me
I
to set, they kind of
agree.
showed me around, and she actually said, somebody was like, this is, Liz, this is Anne Hathaway, Anne Hathaway, this is Liz. And I said, hi, nice to meet you. And this was pre-COVID. And she said, hi, I actually kind of have a cold. I hope you don't mind if I don't shake your hand. And I never expected her to touch me. I was like, that's fine.
Yeah.
And she goes, thank
Wow.
you. And she was like really sincere and she was super sweet. And on
Yeah.
the last day of filming, it was a scene they ended up not using for the movie, but we were all in a church and we walk in together. And she whipped right around and gave me a big hug and said, thank you so much for your hard work. And yeah, she's just super cool. She's very funny too. She's super funny. She's very thoughtful. I think she's just the greatest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you would never think that she did Catwoman in 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 Batman, in Batman Returns and all that. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, and to meet her and work with her, I mean, is like a big honor. I mean, like I said,
Yeah.
the closest to celebrities I've gotten are like through the podcast. I actually had, um, and I'm only jumping off the subject for a moment. Do you ever watch the show Blue Bloods?
Yes, yes.
Okay, if you watch Blue Bloods in 1PP, the three, the team, I call it, of Garrett Moore, Abigail Baker, and Sid. I actually had Garrett Moore on this podcast, Gregory Jabara.
That's cool.
It
That's
is
really
actually,
cool.
if you get a chance to go on the YouTube channel, it's Life with Gregory Jabbar. We did it almost 5 years ago. And at the time that we did it, he's wearing his Michigan gear because he's a big Michigan fan. And that was the day that William Shatner went to space. And we were watching it live on TV and chatting
So
about it.
wild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we were chatting about it. So it's better to watch the YouTube channel because it's more than an hour there because, like I said, we're talking about William Shatner in space all that time.
Mm-hmm.
So, and he was great to chat with. I tried to get him back because of the final season of Blue Bloods, but he was busy. I might try to reach out to him one more time before the series is over. But I noticed that he's been super busy, and I just could not believe when I had him on. When I was able to get him on. He was kind of the second celebrity, no, third, because the second celebrity that I got to know and very good friends with. Matter of fact, um, and I may ask this of Liz afterwards, but I'm going to give out a little secret. I mentioned
Okay.
earlier how I'm friends with Carol Alt, the supermodel. Oh, no, she doesn't like to use the word supermodel. The word model. We got to clarify that. She has some great health and beauty tips and as well as recipes. But I also know Eric Essex. He's a smooth jazz guitarist.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And I actually came across him through Spotify, believe it or not. This one song, when I first started Spotify, this one song just kept popping in my head, or not popping in my head, it was popping on. And as I was listening to it, I was like, oh my God, this is so good. So he had a YouTube channel. So I reached out to him. I said, listen, Eric, I would love to have you on a podcast. Liz, he's been on the podcast twice.
That's awesome. I love
And
that for
not only and Carol's been on the podcast. We had to do a split because when I had Carol on the podcast, this was before YouTube, of course. But when I had Carol on the podcast, she wanted to do it through Instagram, and I couldn't do it through Instagram at the time, in reference to the way the podcast was recording.
you.
So we couldn't do it that way. So we did it online, but it is recorded in the anchor.fm/life with Joey Calvo. It's in two parts. And we have a nice chat, and like I said, we're still good friends, and we chat once in a while. And like I said, I had Gregory Jabbar, but in reference to Carol Alt and Eric Essex, and if Liz wants to join this group, it's up to her. I'm not going to push it, but I send out holiday cards every year, and they get a holiday card every
yes,
year.
of course.
And Eric lets me know when he gets it. Matter of fact, Carol has to wait until next year to get it because I have to send it to her people. And so, and in reference with Carol too, is I've been wanting her to come back on as well because we did the acting and one movie I'm going to give you a suggestion to, and I know this sounds crazy, and it's kind of something that kind of led me to where my calling is, or still thinks it is. Did you ever see the movie Private Parts with Howard Stern?
Yeah, of course, of course.
Okay. You may want to rewatch that movie. The reason why I say that is this. If you look at the secretary on NBC, it's Carol Alt.
That's cool. Okay.
Yeah, she's actually in the movie. And she goes on his show as much as, like I said, we talk, and she would love to come back on this podcast, but her people, like, she's got a list of things to go, and plus she does a lot of Italian acting. So she's also going to Italy in reference to her acting.
Yeah, she sounds really interesting. I'm gonna have to.
She is. You gotta check
more about her.
And she is like you, Liz. And like I said.
What do you mean?
Well, you remember how you mentioned kind of earlier? You know how I mentioned that little joke about how you started at the age of 1?
Yeah.
She does. She's kind of like that too. If you looked at her now, she doesn't age. Is what I'm saying.
Okay. Yeah.
Like I said, I'm being careful how I state it because, because you're both amazing, and I feel so honored, chatting with you. I really do. I feel so honored, and I'm, like I said, I'm keeping my cool, but at the same time, I'm like on cloud 9 because like I said, I would never think I would get to this level. I would never think I would have an adult actress on this podcast. And FYI, I don't edit these, so she could almost, if she wanted to curse the fuck out, she could. Okay, I don't edit these. I don't. I let everything go full clear. I mean, I learned it. Yeah, I learned it the other day because I had a classmate of mine, and I'm apologizing for jumping off Liz. I'm feeling bad for doing it, but YouTube actually had to delete a podcast of mine because we gave medical misinformation out.
Oh.
And they're like, we're giving you a warning on it. We removed it. You do it again, we're going to give you a strike. I said, okay. So I told him, and I said, he said, we're going to code this. So he'll be on Monday. I'll have him on Monday night. So in reference to American Fox, and Liz is already familiar, like I said, if you want to reach out to her, you can find her on Instagram at American Fox 4, or on X at American Fox 4 or on Instagram at American Fox 12018. All right, now what Liz is going to say now, like I said, I would love to be there. I would try to be there. Um, when she mentioned this to me in the beginning, she felt bad because she couldn't hang out afterwards because of what's going on. So I can understand. So we kind of talked in the beginning before we started this about an idea, but again, I didn't want to push it because I didn't want to make her uncomfortable in reference to it. All right, Liz, it's time. Where can people see you? And wait a minute, who will people see you with?
Wow. Okay, this is a really good question. So, I only do this a couple times a year, but if you want to come see me in person, I will be at Exotica, New Jersey, October 25th through 27th. I will be at the Loyal Fans Spotlight booth, and you can find me standing right next to the absolute legendary Anastasia Pierce.
Two Wonder Women at the same time.
Yes, and if you're looking for me online, if you're looking to chat with me or you want to know more about what I do or you want to see more about what I do, you can go to loyalfans.com/Liz River or thelizriver.com.
Yeah, and it uh and you can find her on Instagram, on Twitter.
Yes.
Oh, Liz, I could not feel so honored to have you on. I could, like I said, I'm trying to stay cool over here, cool, calm, and collect because of how truly beautiful you really are, and not just on the outside.
Thank you.
Liz has been a sweetheart with me. I mean, she did give me one warning the other day, but only because she was going through a lot, and I was like, I'm
Well, I wasn't
sorry.
going through a lot.
I
It's
was stressed out.
a lot of correspondence, which I love a good communicator. I love that you're a good communicator.
Mhm.
But sometimes when it's separate emails, it can just be really hard to keep track of what's being said. So like one thread of emails is okay, but
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah. Well,
I just
yeah,
really want to stay
and
on
I,
top of it.
and
I
I
want to make
felt,
sure that I want to make sure that I am always responding to every single one of my
yeah,
emails and every single one of my
mhm,
tags on Instagram, on Twitter, and
mhm.
it can be hard when it's
So
several
many.
emails, several
Well,
separate emails from the same person in one
yeah.
day. But
Well,
thank you, though.
yeah,
I am really flattered.
yeah. But I was, and like, as soon as she said that, I was like, oh my god. Oh, that's all I need to do is scare her off the podcast. Oh, I mean, I was going through a frenzy when I did that. I was like, oh my god, I could not believe I did this. And I try, and I gotta stop using the word try. I attempt to be a person who really is trying to be like sociable. I mean,
Mhm.
growing up, I I I attempted to be that, but I got put down a lot to the point where, like, when she said the word weirdo about herself, and I told her not to use it, I would use it on me because I was considered. I was. There are people that think I'm creepy looking, so that's why I also, when I posted my picture on X and Instagram, I gave her the option of backing out because I didn't know if she would feel comfortable chatting with me because of what I look like and all that. And people, how society is, and they look at the outside and they're like, oh, you know. But I could not feel more honored to have Liz on today. Like I said, I've done my best to keep cool, but I mean, she is the most amazing person you'll ever meet. and I could not
Thank
be
you, Joey.
any
You're
more
so
thankful.
kind.
And I mean, yes, if guys were actually on here commenting, they would probably say, I would be happy to go out with her. I would join that list, number one. Um, but again, I'd have to watch the boundaries, and that would be something that um, would be up to her, of course. Um, I mean, I would come out to Exotica myself and be, and get to see you and Anastasia, to see the most two. Well, I'm sorry. I have to throw a third person in if I did this. I'm sorry. I have to throw a third person in. I would love to have Liz, Anastasia, and American Fox all in one.
Oh yeah, that would
Yeah,
be
I,
so
I
cool.
mean that would be. Let's just say it this way: if it doesn't put me in the hospital for a heart attack by then
Oh, Joey, I
uh,
hope not. You can't put
no,
me into
no, it would be
that.
no. I'm only saying that because I would be in heaven to have all three of them in person. I would be in true heaven. I mean, to spend time being with them would be the ultimate. And yes, I'm stating this, the ultimate fantasy. And I did mention Liz beforehand in reference to something like that. Um, and Liz, you're always welcome to come back on this podcast
Thank
anytime.
you so
Um,
much. Yeah.
yeah, and I am going to, at the same time that I'm like trying to cool down because this is the hottest podcast I've ever done, and I can't state that enough. I'm also apologizing if any boundaries did get crossed, only because I try, I attempt to keep in line, and I have broken some boundaries before, and I explained that to her in the beginning. So I do make the attempt to watch what I say because I don't want to lose anything. Because I'm trying to, because in some of the podcasts that I've done, and I'm going to close out on this, and then I'm going to have you promote yourself. Um, I was at the point where if these podcasts stop or the what um our number one fan, number one supporter calls me once in a while, Negative Joey came out. I was at the point, folks, where if this podcast ended or I ended this podcast, I was going in self isolation, literally. I mean, I would go out to Atlantic City because I love going to the beach. Oops, did I slip something good?
Mhm.
Yeah, I love going to Atlantic City. I love going to the beach. I love going to the casinos. But I was to the point um, where I didn't see anything good for me. Well, that kind of changed, and today even made it better. Um,
Well, I'm
because
glad, Joey. That's good because, you know, what you're doing, I know that you have a small audience right now, but what you're doing is very important. And so we need you to
yeah,
stick around.
yeah, of
We need you to
course.
stick around and get that physical therapy, get that knee going, boy.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
need you walking around. I just do.
Whoa. I gotta be careful on the next words I would say in reference to that statement. Um, hmm. I don't want to cross that boundary yet, but Liz might have that thought of what I might think of. So like I said, I'm like really. I gotta take a breath. Okay, I think I
Do you need a
squashed.
paper bag? Are you okay?
Yeah, no, I'm fine. No, like like I said a minute ago, of wanting to spend time with you, Anastasia, and American Fox all together. Um, and what you said when you do your video when you did videos, what um, type of videos you're careful of not doing. I'm trying not to go at that type of video part. That's the thought I had to squash really quick when you mentioned about getting better. And I apologize for that. Like I said, that's why I didn't. I stopped the thought and stopped going there. So, Liz, as we close, and again, I could not be any more honored to have you on this podcast. I truly thank you from the bottom of my heart. You really proved to me that this podcast is hot. Um, and not just because of the outside, because of the inside as well. And again, you are always welcome. All you have to do is reach out to me in reference to it. I will, okay. And I'm stating this to the podcast. I will drop almost every word. Now, normally I don't do podcasts on Saturdays, but I did this because of, Liz's situation. So that's why I did this. Normally I do Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays. But for Liz, I will almost bend over backwards. Okay. I mean, like when I first saw her on Instagram, I literally went head over heels. I mean, I was like, oh my God. Like I could not keep my composure of how beautiful and amazing she is. So, Liz, yeah, tell us how we can reach out to you because if I go any further, I think I'm going to ruin this.
Okay, yeah, maybe you should quit while you're not that far behind, Joey.
Yeah,
You're really close.
yeah, I know.
Yes. So if you're looking to see me in person, you can see me at Exotica DC October 25th. No, Exotica New Jersey, sorry. DC's later, I'll be there too. If you're looking to see me, you can run into me next weekend, October 25th through 27th at Exotica New Jersey in Edison. If you want to see me on the little screen, I guess, you can check me out in a movie called Dark Waters on Netflix. I play Anne Hathaway's sister. And if you'd like to see more of what I do in my other cosplay and my other genres, you can check me out, thelizriver.com. That has all my links. You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. It's all Liz River Model.
Okay.
Thanks, Joey.
You're welcome. Thank you so much. I think I cooled down a little bit. I mean, it's still hot in here because again, look who I'm with. Look who's on this podcast. I mean, you can't get any more. Well, it could get more hotter, and she knows why I said that. That because of course, she mentioned who she's going to be with, and I actually said to her, I said, I would love to have Anastasia Pierce on here as well because I really, what I do with this podcast is everybody has a story. And so I wanted Liz to share hers. If Anastasia came on, I wanted her to share hers. And I also said to Liz, and like I said, I sent her something in beforehand. I would be happy to support you in any way I can. If you need suggestions or something, I think Liz can do her own podcast. I think she could.
Oh, that's a good idea, Joey.
Yeah.
That's something to think about.
Yeah, because
maybe I'll start a podcast and I'll interview you.
Oh. Yeah, we'll be in trouble then. I think YouTube might
No, we
delete.
won't. No, we won't.
No.
You will be.
I know. I understand. I'm just saying. I mean the honor of that.
I will never be in trouble. You might be in trouble.
Yeah, that's it. That's what I said. I would be in trouble. But I definitely will say if she does start a podcast, I will be happy to show you I will. Okay.
Yeah, okay. Well, so
I'm
maybe
gonna,
because I actually, yeah, I will I have something right after this, so I do actually have to go very soon,
okay.
but
Yeah, no
I
problem.
do want to say thank you for having me, and
Yeah.
also I am going to email you because I have some questions for you about how to do this, and also maybe some suggestions for you as well if you're open to that.
Of course. I was going to tell you that if you needed a moderator in reference to your podcast, I would be happy to co-host it with you if you were interested.
Great. Thank you so much,
Because
Joey. I really appreciate
because
that.
and I will show you how I actually did. And just an FYI, it didn't cost me anything to do this.
That's good to know.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Um, and you can make subscriptions out of this down the line. Um, but Liz, thank you so much. Thank
Thank
you
you
for
so
taking
much
your
for having
time.
me.
Thank you for everything. I mean, truly everything. And thank you, everyone, for watching the Life with Joey Cavill podcast. God bless you all.
Bye. Thank you.
All right.